New York basketball. That's a thing, right? The New York Knicks made a huge trade. Joel, this has been an interesting time. First off, welcome to
It
Break
has.
Panel Sports. Once again, we're back at it because we recorded the episode, what was it, Friday, and got it
Yeah.
up, did everything. We're saying, okay, wow, we covered all the hottest topics in sports. Turns out the Pistons won a game. That was
Ah.
cool. And then it was that night or it was that day, the
Yeah.
day we were going to upload it, the Saturday. Yesterday, the Knicks make this huge trade and it just wallops every story that we did in the original episode, Joel. Wasn't that fun?
No.
So
Really
now here we
wasn't.
are. But I mean, hey, still listen to that episode about Russell Wilson, Joe Flacco, and the Detroit Pistons, who I said they were going to win last night. I
Yeah,
said they were
you
going to win
did.
last
You
night.
did say that.
I
That's kind of
mean,
funny.
we did say it. I also put out that the 4-game winning streak is possible, and hey,
You
it's
just
it's
need three more.
technically it's technically possible. Well, I'm saying if they win, they're not just going to win one and then lose 28 more. They're going to win a couple games. Maybe they'll win one, lose one, or win one, lose three, win one. They'll go on. They'll get stable. And now I know we're kind of getting sidetracked for a second, and I'll get into the next. Now they have 3 wins. Wizards have what, 5? So who's really that
Hmm.
bad? Who's really that bad? The Wizards are worse than the Pistons, Joel. You heard it here first. But anyway, when you talk about a franchise who appears to be mismanaging their books, mismanaging their roster, mismanaging everything about what they do, the New York Knicks, the most famed franchise in the NBA, if you ask someone from the East Coast, they made a big trade the other day. RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, and a second round pick. That's gone. They get back OG Anunoby, who's a good player, great defender, led the league in steals last year. Malachi Flynn and Precious Achua. That's the trade the New York Knicks made. Joel, you're a Knicks fan. I'm a Celtics fan. And if you go on her TikTok, Joel had some words to say about the old trade. And Joel, you're not upset by this trade.
Not really. Not really. Okay. I'm I'm not happy about the trade, but I'm also not like I mean, when the trade first happened, I texted you like
You were going nuts.
WTF,
Yeah.
what the hell's going on here? I don't
Yeah. You were
understand.
going
It
nuts.
doesn't make any sense. Then I processed it a little bit and I was like, okay, you know what? I mean, you look on Twitter, you look on Instagram, whatever. Everyone seemed to be so mad that they traded Emmanuel quickly. I'm like, okay, now let's pump the brakes a little bit here. He was going to be a free agent. Okay. He was going to be a restricted free agent and he was demanding anywhere from 25 to 30 million dollars a year. Do you really think the New York Knicks are going to pay that? If they were going to pay that, they would have paid him by now. This trade is proof they were not going to pay him that much money. So why not trade him? Why not do it? Like it get something back for him. I am, however, not entirely happy that they traded away RJ Barrett this quick into his career. And I say this quick, even though it's been 5 years, he's only 23 years old. The guy is 23. And he entered the league when he was like 18, 19 years old. I mean, like, it sucks because, like I said, RJ Barrett, now, sure, there is nothing about his game that I would say excels above others. There's nothing about his game that I would say is amazing. But the one thing about RJ Barrett that I liked in that draft class, you look at Zion, Ja, you look at RJ. The thing that I liked about RJ is that his best ability was his availability. That man did not miss games.
No.
I was watching him for 5 years. Trust me right now, I never saw him miss games like that. I never saw him deal with any significant injuries. It never happened. He always played. It was you like those guys. You value those guys. Those guys are not easy to come across, especially in today's NBA with load management and everything along those lines. However, at this point, yeah, I say the Knicks were kind of expecting something more from RJ. And in these past 3 years, his stats have kind of been dwindling a little bit. As he was averaging 20, then he was averaging 19, then he was averaging 18. This year, I think he's averaging like like I don't know, like I think it's 18, but like the past few games, it's like he'll get 18 points, but it'll take him 18 shots to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it sucks, and I understand that people have been frustrated with RJ Barrett. I don't think he was that bad of a player. I really didn't. And it hurts worse when you were watching a guy from when he was in college to when he's drafted by your favorite team. You're watching his entire career with your favorite team, and then you get to witness it end. That hurts.
Yeah.
That really sucks. You
Ask me
know,
about Marcus Smart.
well,
You know,
I can't even imagine
that
about
was that was that was a tough one. Watching him at OK State and him playing for the Celtics for so long, playoff runs, everything. Didn't have a lot of playoff runs with RJ. You did. Had to kind of just throw that in there.
Oh no, he had two. He had two playoff runs with RJ.
2 quick exits. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, they made it to second round. I'm not arguing about their Knicks. Anyway,
I'm just kind of
I
digging the dagger a little bit. And I'm gonna
I
I'm gonna do
know.
that even more once I get to my part of this.
Fair enough, but OG Anunoby. Okay, let's just get this out of the way. I think he's a good player.
Yes.
Okay, I do think it's a good player, and he has been somewhat like you look at. I mean, I'm into like the Knicks rumors on like Twitter or whatever. He has been rumored to getting traded to the Knicks for like the past 2 years. It's been happening for like 2 years now. Okay, and now we can finally stop talking about a potential OG Anunoby trade. It's happened. It's here. It's happened. I just did not think the price for him would be this high. I did not think that was going to happen. I thought maybe when we were talking about trades, because prior to this trade, there was DeJounte Murray, there was Zach LaVine. I thought maybe, they have a couple first round picks. Maybe they use those. No, it's two guys that Knicks fans honestly care about. I think OG is a good player. I think he's fine. I think he's a great defender. I think he's good for what their situation is this year. Losing Mitchell Robinson, who was ideally a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year before he got hurt. Now he's out for the year. But that's just it. That was the whole year. OG Anunoby, I don't know if you know this, he has a player option after this year.
He does.
Who's to say he ever wanted to be with New York? Who's to say he says, you know what? I screw this. I didn't ask for this trade. I don't want to be here. I'm going to go make some more money somewhere else. He has every right to do that. And I don't know necessarily. What I think is happening here is the Knicks believe that they can get another guard in free agency to pair it with Jalen Brunson. That's what I think they're thinking that could happen, and that'll cause OG Anunoby to re-sign with them, and they could have this team long term. I don't know exactly how that's gonna work because I feel like there's a lot of hypotheticals with this trade. Okay, yeah, this trade works if you re-sign him long term. Okay, this trade works if you go out in free agency and you go sign some all-star guard or whatever, or you trade for somebody. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of hypothetical. There's a lot of what ifs in this trade. Right now, initially, Toronto walks out like bandits, man. They it's great for Toronto. I don't understand. RJ Barrett is signed until 2027. He's locked in with Toronto. He's gonna be there. Emmanuel quickly, he's demanding money. The Raptors have money, so he's probably gonna stay with Toronto as well. So you get two players who are ideally starters for you that are gonna be around for years to come. So I think it works out for the Toronto Raptors long term. Knicks, it could work out for them. So I'm not totally mad about it, but it just hurts when you see it happen to guys that you really care about.
It hurts a lot for the New York Knicks. And here's my thing. I fully get the side of this situation, right? Where, yes, you weren't going to re-sign Emmanuel quickly. You weren't going to bring back this guy. RJ Barrett's development hadn't been there. I fully am understanding of the Knick fan that sits there and says, I understand why my team did this. And I get it. And I like OG Anunoby more than most people. It fits.
He's a good player.
It fits the Knicks' needs. He's a 3-and-D guy. He's one of the best defenders in the NBA. Great wing, right? My favorite thing though is now, okay. One, it looks like the Knicks are prepping for another trade. They opened up a trade exception with this trade about just over $5 million. You have assets to trade. You didn't trade too many draft picks. You traded one draft pick. You have contracts you need to get off the books. I'm with that. However, this is the New York Knicks. You talk
Yeah,
about free agency. The Knicks haven't been a free agent destination. They
not really.
haven't been a place people want to be at. So who's to say? What, you talking about Paul George in free agency? If that's not happening.
Probably
DeMar
not.
DeRozan isn't a world changer. There's nobody out there that you can go get. I don't buy the Embiid leaving stuff. I don't buy that. They can go win a championship this year. So the New York Knicks trade away a 23-year-old potential star. Not just one of them, basically two of them, with quickly being 24 years old. And you say, everybody, this is the idea, right? The Knicks weren't going to re-sign him. Well, Joel, why is that? Why wouldn't they re-sign quickly? Which I think that they should have done.
I don't.
You're paying Josh Hart $18 million next year.
I
Evan
was gonna say,
Fournier has a team option. You're gonna accept that now? If those two contracts are off your books, you're bringing quickly back. You have the 20 to 25, 20, $30 million that he's going to demand from the Toronto Raptors potentially, let's say. You have these bad contracts, and also the worst contract is Julius Randle, in my opinion. There are contracts that shouldn't be here. This team should have both of those players, but they don't, Joel. They don't. And now they're stuck with the mid-3 in New
oh,
York.
I've seen that nickname. I
Is it
I want to answer
wrong?
that.
I
I want
love
to answer
Jalen
that really
Brunson.
quickly about the Emmanuel quickly thing. So this is what I'm looking at as far as his contract goes. Okay. Now you mentioned that they would have the 20 to 23 million in order to re-sign him, right?
Easily.
My thing is, first of all, I think it would be a little more than that to re-sign him. Also, I believe that there are assets out there that the Knicks would like to go get. One thing about the New York Knicks that a lot of people have like kind of been disregarding prior to this trade, they've actually been like one of the deepest, like sneaky deepest teams
Oh, yeah.
on their depth charts. Like they've actually been okay. So when I'm looking at their starting lineup, okay, it's most likely going to be Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, and Isaiah Hartenstein. That's probably going to be the ideal starting lineup. After this year, mentioned guys like Josh Hart, Quentin Grimes. I think they're going to look to re-sign Quentin Grimes. I don't think he's been that bad of a player. I think they're trying to develop him into a three. He's one of those know your role type of guys. And I texted you last night. They signed Deuce McBride to a 13 million, not 13-year, $13 million deal.
Yeah.
And clearly they like him. Clearly they like
him.
him. There's something about his game that they like, they value. So I'm looking at where all this money is going. Do I see Emmanuel Quickly? Oh, I get it. He's a candidate for Sixth Man of the Year in and year out.
Yeah.
Was he someone that they could have seen as someone as part of their future? This trade is proof that it wasn't. There are guys. Listen, Emmanuel Quickly. Okay, granted, I understand he's a good player. He's no Damian Lillard, guys. He's no all-star. Let's pump the brakes a little bit here.
He's a
Okay?
Tyrese Maxey type of player.
Well, if he was Tyrese Maxey, he'd be starting. Okay, that's another thing.
I'm saying in terms of his one play style and two, his ceiling. That's probably his ceiling.
Oh
Tyrese
no,
Maxey.
yeah, I think he's gonna be way better in Toronto. Let's get that out of the way.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's gonna be way better. But when you have a guy like Quickly on a team with a guy like Jalen Brunson, of course Brunson's gonna start over him. There's probably not gonna be room for an Emmanuel. There was that's just it. There was no room for Emmanuel Quickly on this team. His ceiling on this team was Sixth Man of the Year, and he wants to be paid like a starting point guard. If that's gonna happen, that you have to go somewhere where you're probably gonna be a starting point guard.
Joel, I've heard this before, and it's one of the biggest mistakes in NBA history.
It's
James
not
Harden. At the same exact thing. James Harden. This is the same exact situation that stunned the Thunder from ever winning an NBA championship, because they said, this guy's only going to be a six man on our team, so you don't pay him the money. It's what the Thunder did with James Harden. And look at the now. I mean, the Thunder are doing great now, right? But look at what happened to them.
I
Look at what
know.
happened to them.
But again, you're banking on the idea that Emmanuel Quigley is going to become a James Harden.
I'm not.
A
I
James
was
Harden.
also not saying that. I think that
I,
he is
I,
going to be just as good as Tyrese Maxey. I think
I'm
that's
not
what
putting words
he's
in your mouth or anything like
at.
that. I'm
Yes.
just saying, like, we don't know what's going to happen with Quigley. We just don't know. Who's to say that he even resigns with Toronto?
We don't know if the Knicks are going to keep OG Anunoby. We don't know if the Knicks are going to do anything
We
because
don't.
this is banking on another trade happening. This trade is banking on another trade, right?
I will say I
Yeah.
think you and I both agree on one point. The Knicks aren't done.
No, they're not done.
They're not done
If they're done, it you should turn in your fan card
because
if they're done.
they have so many first round picks,
Right.
and I think they have 3 this year. I'm not sure exactly, but they have 2 or 3. Even if they have just 2, there is no way that the Knicks are drafting 2 rookies. There's no way. There's no way they're drafting more than. There's no way they are drafting more than 1 rookie.
Yeah.
There is no room for more rookies, first round rookies on this team. It's not gonna happen. Get that idea out of your way. If they have 3, they're trading 2 of them for maybe more picks next year or something like that. But there is no shot I can see another rookie on this team developing into anything with this loaded like depth chart. It's just not gonna happen.
It's not. It's such a. Here's my problem. The Knicks are in such a weird situation because you say yes, no one's going to start over them, no one, but all that stuff, and it's true. But the players that these rookies wouldn't start over, they're not championship leading, players that would lead your team to a championship. Julius
That's my other
Randle
point.
is not a 1. Jalen Brunson is not a 1.
I don't know about that.
He's a 1 on the Knicks, but on a championship team, on a team that is going to make a pursuit at a championship, Jalen Brunson should be your number 2 option. I love Jalen Brunson, but Jalen Brunson is not going to be the best player on a championship team. Never will, especially with the New York Knicks. It's not going to happen.
I will say,
I love his game. I love Villanova, whatever, but he's not that player.
I think I would have liked this trade so much more if it was Mikal Bridges rather than OG Anunoby. Like if it was just
I'm not against that.
If it was like literally like the same kind of player,
Not
the same kind of guy.
Defensively, you don't get as much from him.
But still, like if it was Mikal rather than OG, it's like, you know what? I think I would have liked this a lot more because and it would, the Nova boys coming back,
exactly.
That whole thing would have been cool. But I do agree with you as far as like, the championship team goes because the Knicks aren't as bad as they were like 5 years ago. Let's get that out of the way. But the Knicks right now, they have 8 guys on their team that I would say they're okay. Yeah, they're you could say they're good. They're good players. That's it.
Yeah.
They're like Brunson's great. I think Brunson's great. I think Julius Randle is good. He's, despite all the disrespect that this man gets, okay, I understand he's kind of like he's done clown moves and everything like along those. I get it. He's former All NBA, 2-time former All NBA. He's a former 2-time All Star. Okay, the guy's not a bum.
I still think he's got to go. I still think he's got to go.
I don't disagree with you on that part. Yeah. I do think that they would benefit on a team without him, with a team without him, but it's just not going to happen anytime soon. I think you just have to wait a little longer for any move on Julius Randle to happen. Once they finally realize that this man is just like, a two ceiling,
right?
A player option 2. That's his ceiling. He's never gonna be a 1.
He's a ball hogging number 2 as a power forward.
His turnovers are the funniest thing. Where he's just like on the back and he's just dribbling high, and it's just so. And then guys just rush him and steal the ball. It's so easy. It's easy. So easy to take it from him.
My favorite thing, it's something my brother pointed out too, and I started noticing it, is Julius Randle will get the ball, and he'll start to ISO because Julius Randle is an ISO guy for some reason, and you'll see like Quickly, who used to be there, Quentin Grimes, they're not moving. They're not. They just stand there. They're ready to get back on defense. They're not like trying to make a play because they know Randall's not passing the basketball.
Yeah.
They know it, and The problem is when Melo used to do that, when other ISO players used to do that, their teammates are standing there because, oh, my guy's going to go out there and get a bucket. Not, oh, he's not going to pass the ball. I got to get back on defense. That's Julius Randle. And Julius Randle's not that player. He should be playing more of his role.
I think, first of all, maybe this might cause some controversy. I never really liked Melo on the Knicks. Not really.
I mean, it makes sense.
I really
it makes
didn't.
sense. Those Knicks teams were never built to win. They were built to have Melo have fun.
Obviously, he was a great player. Okay, yes. I'm not denying his greatness. I'm not denying that. Okay.
Yeah.
But him as a player, him as a teammate, I just did not like. I blame him for Linsanity ending. That's just me. I blame him for that.
That's not. It's a common. Yeah.
But guys like Carmelo Anthony, guys like Julius Randle, these ball hog players, you're seeing the development of guys like RJ and guys like Quickly kind of being put at a halt.
Yeah.
And the addition of Jalen Brunson, who you realize is a lot better than he was ever on Dallas. So now he's going to be getting buckets. So yeah, their stats are going to now go down. Any chance of Quickly ever had a starting is on the floor now. It was never going to happen. So now it's like, okay, what can we do to accommodate our best players while the guys that were still waiting on development here? Okay, we got no time for to wait anymore. We got no time. Okay. So go find a place where they can develop, where they wouldn't be necessarily mad at going to. RJ goes back to his home. Okay, he goes back to Toronto. RJ's not mad at all. If RJ was to, request a trade or whatever, I think he's stupid because he signed there until 2027. RJ's gonna stay in Toronto. That's not changing. Quickly, on the other hand, you don't know. Quickly's gonna go where the money is. That's where he's going. And whether that be, with Charlotte, any terrible team out there, or Detroit, Washington, sure. Yeah. But he's chasing the bag.
Yeah.
And
as he should.
The Knicks seeing this, obviously, I think that just shows, like I said before, I just think that shows you that they were never really planning on re-signing him. And also the Knicks this year, they're okay. But even with this team that they still had prior to this trade, they were losing games that they should not have been losing. They were turning the ball over. I mean, they looked mid. Yeah. And now they're still mid. But at least at this point, you create a little bit more money, a little bit more in trade exceptions. You get Precious Achiuwa, who, he's just another big body that you can put in there. But OG Anunoby fills in the need that you need right now, and that's defense. And if they think that guys like Dante DiVincenzo, guys like Quentin Grimes can step up and, have more of a scoring role, then I don't hate the move. I don't hate it, but like I said before, it's just, dang, like, why did it have to be RJ? Why did it have to be Quickly?
Why did those guys have to go? and I asked the same question, but I think we ask it for different reasons. My Knicks agenda, and I'm not a Knicks fan. I'm an outside observer. My situation would be Julius Randle is not the player that the Knicks want to prioritize. They should have prioritized RJ's development, quickly bringing him back to New York. Because it seemed like he very much enjoyed being a Knick.
Oh, yeah.
I would say that he would have been heavily interested in re-signing if the Knicks had the money available to do so. So then my question is, okay, you look at the trade, right? These are two very valuable assets. RJ Barrett locked up, 23-year-old player. Emmanuel Quickly, a guy that you can maybe re-sign. Precious Achiuwa and Malachi Flynn are probably not going to be Knicks by the end of the year or by the end of the year.
No, probably not. No,
they're on 1-year deal. They're gone, right? So at the end of the day, you make this deal, and let's say once the dust settles, Precious Achiuwa is gone, Malachi Flynn is gone, and then what the Knicks get out of this is a 5-year extension of OG Anunoby for however much money he ends up getting, right? Whether it's a max or whatever. So then your team is Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, and OG Anunoby. That's your top 3 players. That's your big 3. That's what you're building off of. Let's say the Knicks maybe make another trade. They get another decent player, but it's not anything better than those 3. That's the situation, right? So then the
Mhm.
Knicks, you look at it, and go, okay. So we gave up a 23-year-old, a 24-year-old, and a second-round pick, and we got a 26-year-old player who's probably hit his ceiling, and it's just a really great defender. My question to you, right? The Raptors are getting out of this two really great young players. Why are the Knicks giving up draft capital? How did the Knicks not get anything back from the Raptors? Because it seems like the Knicks are giving up more value here than the Raptors are giving to New York. Why did the New York Knicks make this trade and not get anything, any pick swap in the first round back from the Toronto Raptors? Why are they the ones giving up capital in this trade? That's my
because they
issue.
because they already have it.
I know they already have it,
I mean, like
but look at
I
Sam Presti.
I
What was
understand
he
that. I
making?
understand the point. I understand the point that you're trying to make. And yeah, you mentioned Sam Presti with the Thunder. I understand they got a million first round picks. Like
Yeah,
that's a insane situation that they did. He's GM of the century.
it's
But
working.
I'm looking at what the team is now, right? I'm looking at what the team is now and what it potentially could be,
Right.
what they're envisioning. I don't think that they made this move if they didn't think that they could do it. And first of all, free agency, I understand like there's not any like crazy guys out there, but they have a lot of first round picks that they could go out and trade for another guy. Now, I I've heard this rumor. I don't know how true this is. I really don't want to even like think about it that much, but I will ask you,
Yeah.
what do you think about Donovan Mitchell? Because I've heard this rumor
Yeah.
where
I've heard it.
Cleveland they could be considering moving on from Donovan Mitchell because you look at Donovan Mitchell on this team. I'm sorry, but Cleveland hasn't really been all that crazy. It just hasn't really been.
Hasn't worked out.
They're they're okay. Again, they're in a very similar situation as the Knicks, where it's like, yeah, they're okay. They're a good team. There's no one on that team right now that I'm like, oh my god, he's amazing. Oh my god, he's great. Like Donovan Mitchell on this team hasn't done all that much. Like to elevate the Cavaliers, I'm saying. They lost in the first round to the Knicks.
Yep.
Like they weren't all that good. So, and a lot of these guys are young, and you look at Donovan Mitchell, and it's like, okay, does he really fit the leadership role that this Cavaliers team needs?
He should. He did it in Utah. He did it many times in Utah. He led that team, which was not as great as, I mean, this Cavs team is just as much talent. So I'm not exactly sure where the disconnect is happening. Maybe because Donovan has to play with a strong point guard. Oh no, what would he have to play with in New York? A strong point guard. That's the issue. I don't think Donovan fits very well with this team. That's the problem. And my other thing, right? You get Donovan Mitchell, right? You get him. Let's say you trade. I don't even know who you would trade. You trade a bunch of picks. You trade Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, and I don't know, Jericho Sims and a bunch of picks for Donovan Mitchell, right? You were able to keep Julius. You're able to keep Jalen. You're able to keep OG. You're able to keep, and obviously Donovan. Does that team with Donovan Mitchell, and they might even have to give up Julius Randle in that situation, what does that do to put them over Boston, to put them over Philly, to put them over Milwaukee? Nothing. It gives you maybe another score, but my problem with the Knicks and my problem with a lot of teams in the Eastern Conference is I don't see a path besides drafting really well to put you over those three teams, because nobody on this team can guard Giannis, nobody on this team can guard Tatum, and nobody on this team can figure out how to stop Joel Embiid. So what do you do if you're the Knicks? I don't know. Because you can't blow it up. You're New York. You're not going to blow it up. You have Jalen Brunson. He's a star. But getting Donovan Mitchell, it gives you more talent. But what does it do to put you over those three teams? Does it? Am I missing
No, I
the
mean,
talent there? Or, but I see that the Knicks would be just a perennial 4 seed that could never beat Boston.
I think it's one of those situations where it kind of similar to the OG and kind of similar to this trade. There's no way you could be done, you know?
Yeah,
If
you
you
could,
got
right.
like let's say that is the trade. Let's say that is the trade that you just mentioned. Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, all those guys. Like those are important role players
Yeah.
to this team.
The
They're
Cavs aren't
very
just going to
important
give
role
you
players.
Donovan.
You get rid of Josh Hart, you get rid of one of your best offensive rebounders. You
Yep.
get rid of Dante DiVincenzo, you get rid of one of your best defenders. You get rid of Jericho Sims. I mean, he's just kind of been a, I'm not even gonna mention. I'm not gonna discuss Jericho Sims, but
Yeah.
you're getting rid of key guys and key first round picks for one guy who's gonna be a starter. Who I feel like you kind of, I don't want to say you don't need him.
You kind of have him in
Yeah,
Jalen Brunson.
you kind of already have him.
Yeah.
But
This is what the Cavs did. This is why it didn't work in Cleveland. They already had Donovan Mitchell, basically. They had Darius Garland build around him.
And thinking about this trade, the
RJ Barrett.
Donovan Mitchell trade,
Okay,
right?
back to Donovan, yeah.
Looking back at that one, like when Utah traded to Cleveland, New York actually had a better offer.
Yes.
But they elected to choose Cleveland strictly because they didn't want to trade him to New York.
Right.
Does Cleveland have that same mentality where they just, the price for New York is a little higher than it would be for other teams just because we just don't want to trade you to New York? It's really all it is.
Right.
And I think Donovan wants to come to New York. I think he wanted to come to New York. I think having guys here that actually want to be here is important. I think that's fairly important for this team's development, for this team's chemistry, and that makes me wonder: was there any sense that maybe? I mean, I know RJ wanted to be here, but quickly, I don't know necessarily if he was thinking about re-signing with the Knicks.
Right.
I don't know. Like, sure, yeah, maybe if in another universe, if he stayed with here and he re-signed, I would have been wrong, but. I think this trade was eminent that, not telling quickly about it, not telling, I don't know necessarily if they told RJ about it, but I think there was questions of whether or not they were all in on the Knicks.
Yeah.
And if Leon Rose, I know this man has the ego as, high as the damn sky.
He's up there.
Does he see this and say, you know what? I don't think you're all in. I'm going to go acquire a guy who I know will be all in, who we're gonna make a start. One of the I saw a tweet yesterday that RJ Barrett's usage percentage on the Knicks was like 18%, and OG Anunoby's on the Raptors is like 11.
Yeah.
So his usage percentage is probably gonna be going up a lot on New York, which if that happens and he starts getting, better numbers, starts playing a lot differently, it's New York, is a whole different crowd. Who's to say that this man doesn't become a perennial all-star player himself? And if they end up resigning him, yeah, this trade works out. If it doesn't, then yeah, you're probably gonna have to look towards a Donovan Mitchell kind of deal.
And just to pull that Jazz Cleveland trade, so the Cavaliers got Donovan Mitchell, the Jazz gave up Colin Sexton, Lowry Markkanen, and Ochai Agbaji. 3 first-round picks and a 2026 swap and a 2028 swap. So essentially downgrading in 2 drafts and giving up your first-round pick in 3 drafts. Is that level of a trade something that you think New York would be interested in? I would say, I don't know. I would not give up that for Donovan Mitchell right now. And I think his value is much lower than it was back then. But
yeah,
that's his value. You're giving up big-time players. I don't think Cleveland. I don't know if Cleveland would accept it if a Julius Randle was not involved. They're going to ask for Jalen Brunson, which is not happening. They're going to ask for these top tier players. So I don't think the Knicks really have a trade with that team, with the Cleveland Cavaliers, that would, I guess, make sense for their future. It wouldn't make any sense, Joel, to me. But again, you have to do something. This can't be the stop. You have to keep going. You have to make another move, Joel. So I don't know. I really don't know. But I guess what we've concluded, so the Knicks, they had to make this trade. You don't hate it. It's okay. Given the Knicks situation, fine. Do what you had to do. Resign OG Anunoby, get it done. For me, yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to say, like, as far as like a conclusion goes, what would you grade this trade for both teams?
The Raptors finished with about a B plus, I would say, and the Knicks get a I'm not going to give them an F. I'll give them a C. I'll give them a C on this trade.
I was gonna say like at least for the Knicks, short term, I would give them a B minus.
Yeah, short term I like it, but I don't think short term gets you anywhere because you have
Long
three.
long term could potentially be an F minus.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
let's be honest.
Exactly.
It could honestly be an F minus. But
Yeah,
as far as the Raptors go, I'm talking both short term and long term. I think this is a solid B. I
yeah,
think it's a solid B. If Emmanuel quickly re-signs with them, it's an A.
it's
Like
perfect. It's
you're
perfect.
getting great. You're getting good players.
The thing is, I don't think any of these, I guess, mediocre, not to put it in a simple term, teams, you should not be making short term moves because you have a Hydra at the top of the Eastern Conference. But that'll do it for our next conversation. We're going to move on to the big topic of last night, the Dallas Cowboys and the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
So the Detroit Lions, Dallas Cowboys, probably the most, what I love about this is that this is the most I've seen people talk about technical football on Twitter and anything in a very long time.
It's so confusing.
So if you didn't watch the game, I'm going to try to give you the worst explanation of all time as to what just happened. By the way, to give you the lowdown, the Dallas Cowboys took down the Detroit Lions last night. They now continue to have a chance at the 1 seed if things go really right, and I don't know if they will. The Lions are basically stuck to having to have to play probably Los Angeles in the playoffs, right? That's the situation. So big moment, Dan Campbell. He's got something on him. He's got the guts. He's going for glory. Lions go on a big time drive, score a touchdown. They're down by 1. Dan Campbell immediately says, "We are going for 2. Awesome. Congratulations. You have guts. You are a hard-nosed football coach." They run the play. You see Taylor Decker going out, running a little Audi. Okay. He catches the ball. Lineman touchdown. It's great. I don't know why I just did a Pat McAfee touchdown. Touchdown scores. Taylor Decker. 2-point conversion. Congratulations. You win the game. We're going nuts. Dallas loses. The world is happy. And then the officials, they start talking. They start chattering. They start speaking words to each other. Illegal touching. Offense, number 68. What? How? And then a whole discussion happens about eligibility reporting. This isn't college football eligibility. This is who can catch the football. So, okay. We look at they're running the replay of people talking, and this is one I've never seen before. So you see both number 70 and you see Taylor Decker number 68. They're both talking to the official, and the announcement number 70 reports is eligible, which is not good because 70 is not the guy supposed to catch the ball. Number 70 is not supposed to report eligible. He is supposed to block, and 68 is supposed to, or whatever it was. Anyway, Taylor Decker was supposed to report eligible. But if you run the film back, Taylor Decker says something to the official. He says words to him. What other words could you possibly be saying besides report? I report is eligible, which then the official is supposed to go, number 68 report is eligible. But he's also trying to kind of hide it in a way. So you don't want to just yell out to the skies, "Hey, I report eligible. Defense, I'm going to be eligible, okay?" You don't want to do that. You want to kind of hide it a little bit. So Brad Allen is the official. I'm going to read the quote. There's an interview that they had with Mr. Allen. This is one of the first times that you see a post-game press conference in the ref, which I think we need more of. So here's the situation. He was asked, why was there a penalty called on the 2-point conversion for an illegal touch? Allen says, so we had a situation where if you were going to have an ineligible number occupy an eligible position, you have to report that to the referee, which is true. On this particular play, number 70, who had reported during the game a couple of times, reported to me as eligible. Then he lined up at the tackle position. So actually, he didn't have to report at all. Number 68, right, who ended up, this is his exact words, who ended up going downfield and touching the pass, did not report. Therefore, he's an ineligible touching a pass that goes beyond the line, which makes it a foul. So the issue is number 70 did report, number 68 did not. And then he was asked, well, basically, this is the exact question. There was a player that went to you just before that play. That was Taylor Decker, who is number 68, talking to you, 2 linemen talking to you, went to the Cowboys defensive line to speak to them. What was that about? That conversation is where number 70 reports to me, and I then go to the defensive team, and I say to them, number 70 has reported as an eligible receiver, so they'll be aware of who was reported, and then I returned to my position. That was a conversation with the defensive line. And then this is the big quote. We noticed there were 2 flags thrown on the same play. Was there another penalty call on that play as well? Yes, because number 70 reported is eligible, and he was covered up on the line of scrimmage. That makes it an illegal formation. So number 70 is in an illegal position because he's covered up by rule, and number 68 catches the pass, which is also illegal. However, if number 70 is not an eligible receiver, which he wasn't supposed to be, it doesn't matter if he's covered up because he's a tackle. So basically, you see a conversation, you see Taylor Decker say something, and then the official says 70 reported to me. Joel, does anything make sense?
No, it doesn't. So here's my issue with this. Now, unfortunately, I watch a lot of law shows and criminal shows and everything like that,
Yes.
right? Nothing can be proven without actual proof.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what you're going off of, and what everybody's going off of, is speculation. Okay.
Yes.
No one knows what happens in this conversation besides Taylor Decker, the referee, and it wasn't Dan Skipper, but there was another. I forgot who it was. There was another lineman that was standing next to
Number 70
Taylor
Skipper.
Decker.
Number 70 Skipper.
Oh, it was Skipper.
Yep.
See, I can't even get their names right because I'm looking at their numbers and I'm like, okay, who exactly was involved in this? But I'm looking at this play, right? I'm looking at what it looked like as far as, him talking to the referee. Was any of them mic'd up that we know exactly what they say? Because if not,
right,
it's a your word against mine. That's what it is. That's
right.
exactly what the situation is. Who's to say that Taylor Decker reported? He's talking to the referee, but I've seen players talk to the referees about arguing a call that they made earlier, talking about, oh, if I do this, is that an issue? Oh, can I do this? Blah, 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 blah. Like, they talk a lot. Now, obviously, with the play being that Taylor Decker catches the ball, yeah, it makes it seem like, okay, he had to have reported to him. He had to have done that. Like you said, it's a rule. You have to report to the referee. But the referee saying Skipper reported, not Decker. That's what I'm getting at, right?
That's
Skipper
basically yes. He's saying that when we all watched what happened, it looks like Taylor Decker reports, but the official said that Skipper reported, number 70.
Which Skipper was someone who was reporting previously in the game as an eligible receiver.
Correct.
So my thing is there a situation where the referee probably got confused? Yeah. And here I am getting tweets about Brad Allen right now. I mean, it's
of course. Yeah.
This story is carrying on till the morning right now, and it's because like we should be talking about how, the Dallas Cowboys.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but this is a situation. So this is a tweet I just saw from Brad Allen. Brad Allen's referee crew is expected to be downgraded and out for the 2024 NFL playoffs.
Ooh.
They just basically got demoted from this. They were supposed to be there. They are now going to be out. This just happened about 20 minutes ago, by the way. They are not going to be
breaking news on
breaking news on Break Panel. While we were talking about RJ Barrett, Brad Allen's crew just got demoted. Because here's the thing, right? You say yes, he got confused. What's he getting paid to not get
confused?
He's getting paid to not get confused. He is in a position that so many people, because yes, I know we hate officials, I know we criticize them all the time, but there are plenty of people who fight tooth and nail to even be thought about to be an officiating spot, and especially to be in a position that Brad Allen's in. So the NFL, if you make a mistake like this, if you say, well, I thought it was this guy that reported eligible. Yeah, you're canned, buddy. You got to get this right. You got to get it right. Now, I have another problem. I'm going to take the heat off the Zebras for just a little bit, right? Because, okay, you get a 5-yard penalty, you get a retry. Why are you running to go for 2 from the 7? Just kick the ball. Just take the point. Let's go to overtime. Whatever happens, let's go to overtime. And okay, it started to work out. right? Because then Micah Parsons lines up off sides, and they get half the distance to the goal, so they get about the 4-yard line to try. They try again. Jared Goff underthrows a pass that may or may not have resulted in a touchdown if he throws a better ball. Cowboys win the game. I love Dan Campbell so much, right? We're gonna bite your kneecaps. We're gonna be aggressive.
He's probably gonna win Coach of the Year.
Probably gonna be coach. You're right. You're absolutely right. Although I think at this point, especially after this game, it should be Stefanski, right? How do you not just take the kick from the 7-yard line? Just take the points. Just let's go to. I know that CeeDee Lamb had over 220 yards, and if you lose a coin toss, he's probably going to go for 300. But give your team a chance to survive. Is my point.
Dan Campbell is one of those guys where, like, if he sees an open shot, he's gonna take the kill.
Yes.
He's not gonna sugarcoat anything. He's not gonna do it. He will take the kill every time.
He is the J.R. Smith of coaches.
I have seen this man, Dan Campbell, and me too. I'm a huge Dan Campbell guy. I love this man.
Yeah.
He's awesome. Dan Campbell is one of the best coaches in the league. I was saying that when they were winning like 4 games. Okay. This guy is awesome. I think he's a great coach. I think he's exactly what Detroit needs. He's very reckless. This guy is very, very, very reckless. Okay.
Yeah.
I look at Dan Campbell. I remember a handful of times I'm seeing Detroit go for it on 4th down when they really don't need to be going for it on 4th down, and it results in a turnover. And it's like, what are we doing? Just punt the ball. Just punt the ball. What are we doing here? And then in this situation, 2-point conversion. This horrible call happens, but it's like, okay, let's just take the point. We'll go to OT. Whatever happens, that's not him. That's just that's not what he does. It's like I'm not gonna be content with going to OT and going at it with this team again for another, however many minutes, and they do a whole nother drive. I'm not doing it. I see an opportunity to win the game right now. I'm gonna take it. And then at that point, whatever happens, happens. The ball is in our hands right now. We're gonna control this game. And yeah, Micah jumping off sides, that's on Micah. But Jared Goff did not play the greatest game.
No.
Let's get that out of the way. He was not all that great. I know he's on my fantasy championship team. I'm a little disappointed in him right now. But I look at Jared Goff and I'm saying, I feel like a little is to be blamed on him. I feel like that's being very overshadowed because of this play. That was like, we won. We won the game. What do you thought? We basically won the game right now.
Should have won.
And now Jared Goff underthrows another pass, and that all happens. Like I remember watching the breakdown. Ryan Clark last night on SportsCenter was breaking down the play, and like just showing exactly like where the ball needs to have gone. Jared Goff just basically throws it to the ground.
Yeah,
and it was just not good football. It just wasn't towards the end, but. When we're talking about this official, and now we've seen, Brad Allen's his crew is done. That at least tells me that the NFL agrees with the Detroit Lions.
Yes,
that shows me that they agree with them. And yeah, you're right. This cannot happen. Do you think that the NFL is ever going to come to a point where we start fining referees?
Fining? They don't. I mean, they get paid a lot of money. I think that effectively not being in the playoffs and taking games away, that's basically a fine, because you're not getting paid for that game. And if you're Brad, not only are you not getting paid,
your crew's not
line
getting
judge isn't getting paid, your crew's not getting paid. So effectively, this is a fine. Effectively, and taking work away, that's what they're losing money because of this. So they basically are doing that. This is the first time we've really seen punishments come through. Now,
yeah.
Ultra conspiracy theory, Joel. Did he have the spread? Did he have Cowboys money line? What happened?
Well, we've seen that before.
We've seen it in the NBA.
It has happened. It has happened in the NBA.
If there's a time for it to happen, do you think now is the time?
I'm gonna be
Just
real
the
with you. I
way
haven't
that,
really given it that much thought as to like if he was like, fixing the game. I haven't
I
really
I personally don't think so, but yeah, I
but
haven't. Yeah,
but yeah, like the excuse that he gave, right?
yeah.
I when have you seen that happening in recent years?
I've never seen
Where
this
like
happen in my life.
I've never seen this
No
happen.
one has.
I've never seen this call. That's why. Okay, so like we have a group chat with a couple of our friends where we discuss sports all the time,
Yeah,
right? And like you said earlier, this is the most I've ever seen people talk about analytical football
yeah,
because we're asking each other, what's the rule on that? Like, what's the rule? Like, someone please explain it. Someone break it down. I don't
right.
understand why he could, because I've seen linemen catch a ball all the time. I've seen
Yeah,
it happen, and most of the time, I don't really see anyone talking to a referee. It just kind of happens. It just kind of like they
yeah,
just kind of do it. Now I understand it's a rule, but like it doesn't really seem to be that much of a big deal. Like the whole point is so that the defense doesn't know that who's supposed to be catching the ball, and once the
right,
lineman does, it's like, oh, it's a trick play. Oh my god, the lineman got it. Whatever. Like,
right.
isn't that the entire point?
But they announced
Eh,
it over. Right, they announced it over the loudspeaker. Like the defense knows, hey, this guy can catch the ball, and it happens on plays where they're not even looking for the lineman. Every time that a lineman reports is eligible, it's not because, oh, this is a trick play designed for the lineman. He's just going to be eligible, so you don't get the ineligible man downfield issue because he may be blocking or whatever he's going to be doing. He's going to run a route. He's going to do something. He's going to step up.
I
And
think one
yeah,
of the things that I think one of the things that frustrate me a little more about this whole entire play was that I was looking on Instagram and I saw Dan Campbell, like one of the quotes that he was saying like in his game post game press conference. He was saying he explained this exact play to the referees pre-game.
yes, pregame.
Before the game even started, he says, "Listen, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do a design play. Blah blah blah. It's for Taylor Decker. It's gonna be for 68."
Yeah,
They're like, "Okay,
he's going to report.
he's gonna report. He's 68. Will report." And this play happens. It does in fact happen, and now it's like, okay, again, speculation, because
Right.
even though yes, we see Brad Allen is Cruz getting suspended. Does the NFL know something of the referee of Taylor Decker actually saying in words, "I am reporting eligible" to Brad Allen? Is there proof of that? Until there is, we're just speculating here. We don't know
Everything's
what has
speculation.
happened.
I can sit there and speculate. I can sit there and say, oh, because he knew what was going on pregame, he knows how to rig it.
Right.
He knows, okay, so you're gonna tell me that 68 is gonna come to me, and they're gonna say he's eligible. I can just say, I thought 70 said it. And he might know who's mic'd up and who's not at the same time, because you know this stuff. You're the official. You're an NFL official. You know these things. So that you can sit there and say that. I personally think that this is just a mistake by a bad official. I don't think, especially after what happened to Tim Donahue, I don't think officials would go this route. And with the way that anybody who does this, you get caught. Anybody who rigs a game, you get caught. If you're an official rigging a game. Now, I'm sure people on Twitter are going to say that the NFL is rigging the game, which is a whole different argument.
That's a whole different story.
To me, I think it's just a bad mistake. And I mean, maybe they'll do an investigation and whatever to what happened and how did this happen, especially with policy now. I mean, they go to teams and leagues and everybody, they go to the nines to make sure that gambling is not going on, whether that's from your run of the mill employee, whether that's from an official, whether that's from Roger Goodell himself, or whether that's from the janitor in the NFL facility. You're not gambling. You're not betting on games, guys. That's what our fans are going to do. That's what everybody else is going to do. We're not doing that on our stuff. Players, like look at the extent they've gone to get players on stuff. To get Calvin Ridley on $5,000. So I'm not gonna. I don't buy, and I'm just bringing it up to be funny. I don't buy this guy's gambling on the game. I don't buy that.
Neither do I.
I think we need to fix officiating and make sure that these guys are making the right calls. The right call wasn't made at the end of the day. Now, can we have fun for a second?
Good.
CeeDee Lamb
I hate him.
Such a good player. Oh my goodness, CD Lamb. This whole game, like I said at the beginning, CD Lamb he just stamped himself as a top 4 receiver in the NFL, in my opinion, top 3, potentially. 13 catches, 227 yards, a touchdown, a 92-yard touchdown. Made Dak Prescott look like the best quarterback in the NFL. He's been doing it all season. This guy is so good at football. This guy is probably who he kind of has stepped into.
Hmm.
He's a Devontae Adams. He's a
Yeah.
Devontae Adams with better run after the catch.
I mean, we talk about the guys who unfortunately had to face CD Lamb in the fantasy championship. I am one of them. I
You
was
faced him,
mentioning
yeah.
I was mentioning it to John prior to this recording, and I still have a shot to win, but unfortunately I think my numbers are going down. CD Lamb screwed my team over. It's over.
Yeah,
It's done.
it's almost
But
over.
but yeah, fantasy aside, looking at CD Lamb, look at this Cowboys team. Let's just look at the Cowboys team in general. I do think they're a good team.
Yes,
I do think now, I mean, there is still a chance that the Cowboys face the Lions in the playoffs.
I'd
There's
love to see it.
absolutely a chance that
I
this
would
happens.
love to see it because they would
What
get
would
the
happen?
5 and well, I mean Tampa would have to over. It would probably be in the second round or something.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, that's what I mean. The second
It's
round.
possible because I think Tampa or New Orleans or whoever wins the NFC South. I think it's gonna be Tampa. We'll find out today. Um, who's probably gonna win that division? I'd love to see it because you're telling me the Cowboys, the Lions aren't gonna have an extra edge to them in that game.
The NFL script is going crazy this year. I've said it prior. I'm like the script is going nuts.
It's been a good season. I think a lot of people said, "Oh, this has not been a great." There have been a lot of good games, quarterback play. I think that's made it even more fun.
Yeah, I think the injuries this year, granted you don't want to see
You
them.
don't
Okay,
want it.
you don't want to see injuries or nothing like that, but you see the guys that have been brought up because of these injuries. It's made it a lot more interesting.
It's create a lot of great stories. Yeah,
Because now you're like, we would have never had Joe Flacco again.
right.
Would have never had him again. It would never have happened.
Now, how good of a Cleveland team would we have had if Deshaun Watson played up to par? Who knows?
Who knows?
And I think I am concerned about the amount of quarterback injuries in the NFL this year because I don't see it going down. I see it going up because we are asking way more quarterbacks to move out the pocket and run. You're going to see it. This is something. This is the NFL now.
So this is something I was thinking about. I was driving home from work a day or two ago, and I realized just how many injuries has happened this year, late in this year, right? Especially late in the
Yeah, I know where
year.
you're going with that. Yeah.
And I'm like, should we just go back to 16 games? Should we
Yeah.
just go back to that? Because I'm looking at 17, and I don't know necessarily if a lot of these guys can take it. I just don't know.
Joel, how about going back to 14?
Why not? I mean, it's not the worst because, like, I mean, when you're talking about, like, doing the 17 games and then they started moving games to like Saturdays, like late in the year, you're seeing a lot of Saturday games,
Which you always see, which I don't mind.
which there's like a Friday game or whatever.
Yeah.
One of the things that I did like about what they're doing with the schedule is that you'll notice that a lot of these divisional rivals are playing late in the year because these games because you'll notice like they'll bench their starters or whatever late in the year. They want these games to mean something. It's important. It's for the division. A lot of your divisional rivals are going to be at the end of the year. I like that. However, you're talking about going to 17 games and having a whole 18-week span. It's like when it was 16, I didn't think a lot of these guys were making it to the end of the year.
Yeah.
Why not just go back to 16? And also, when you see teams that that could end 8-8, I hit my mic, sorry about that. And then they hit like 9-7. That's just a good number for me. Okay, I like that number. If a team's like 8-9, it's like
10-7.
That looks weird.
11-6.
Like, ew, like that looks like that. I'm a numbers guy. That just looks weird to me.
Yeah.
And you see, like I as we're recording this, I'm getting reports of like, Josh Jacobs is out. This guy is out.
Yeah.
This guy is out. I'm like, can these players even make it to next week? Like, is it gonna how is this gonna happen? Like, the only reason why I can understand like you want the longevity of the NFL season to last, why not everyone just has another bye week?
It's players were the moment that the NFL announced, hey, we're going to give you an extra game. I think just about every player was saying, okay, do that. Whatever. You want to be greedy, money hungry, you want to put our bodies through hell just to make a couple extra bucks. Give us a second bye week. You have the space to do it. Just one more bye week if you're going to do
Why
that.
not?
Why not? Exactly. I don't because yes, you want to see more games. You want to do that. You want to sell more tickets. You want to sell more beer. You want to sell more jerseys at the game. You want to get that cable contract up because now you're fighting for media rights and you're doing all this stuff. You know what the NFL hasn't done?
Hmm.
They haven't gotten creative at all because they don't have to. Look at the NBA. They realize that extra games don't help you. They don't help you in this situation because players are doing load management. We're going to see load management in the NFL. Well, the games matter more, so you can't do it. But the NBA said we got to get creative if you want to make our media rights deal matter. Make the in-season tournament. The NHL improves the All-Star game, right? The MLB changes all the rules. They get creative. What does the NFL do when they want to make more money? Oh, let's do another game.
Just to put another game.
They're not fixing the rules. They're not fixing anything. They're not making games matter more. That didn't matter as much before. They're making it harder for us to watch games. Doing all this stuff. The NFL suffers from not having to be creative because all they have to do is just say, "Hey, more football," and they make money and they print money. The other leagues have to try a bit harder. They have to adapt because the NFL is so dominant. And it's sure, I love football. You love football. We love football. We scream for football. It's my favorite sport ever. Okay, football is America's pastime. Sorry, baseball. But I want America and these players to be able to have lives after football. And if we're going down this route of making players play 17 games for 10 years, I don't even have to spell out the consequences of that. Give these guys a bye week. Do something. More games is not going to help you, especially in college football as well. Giving 18-year-old kids more games to play. Are you serious? It's awful to me because how violent football is. And you're seeing all these injuries and you're seeing players that are going to suffer because the NFL wants to have one more game. It's absurd to me. I think we should go back to 14. I don't think anybody's said that. Let's go back to 14. Why not?
I will, you're talking about football. We love football. You know what's part of football? The huge part of football? The players.
Yeah.
And
they
the players
the
if the players make the game. If the players are not there because of injuries, because of playing too many damn games,
yeah,
why not accommodate the players here? Okay. Like, listen, and here's the thing: you mentioned 14. Like, listen, I mean, it could happen, but I suggest going to 16 and leave the schedule the way it is. Just add another bye week.
Yeah.
Just add look at teams like the Arizona Cardinals. You know when their bye week was? Week 14.
Yeah, you're playing 13 consecutive weeks of football.
While other guys are having their bye weeks on like week 6. How is that fair? I don't understand how that's fair.
How is 4 days of rest after Sunday Night Football fair to play?
That doesn't make it.
How about that too?
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense at all. And like you're seeing things like that happen. See what Jacksonville's dealing with Trevor Lawrence is like, they had a Thursday night game, but now he can't play because he has a concussion, and then he does play, and it's like, oh, but we have to, Sunday and all this stuff.
Right.
No team should have to deal with this.
No.
This should not be a situation that you have to deal with. Players should be getting their rest. These guys are putting their bodies on the line. They're getting literally. I've seen a tweet about football where it's essentially like getting hit by a car every single time, like post game is essentially like getting hit by a car. Like
the total force that you feel. Yeah. And they've changed the rules to try to reduce all that stuff. I mean, obviously we loved watching the Ray Lewis era and all that, but guys were getting hit with battering rams every play. Sure, it was fun to watch, but yeah, player health is important.
That was
It's just
football.
that was back in the day
That
when
was
men
football.
were men and Jack Tatum was doing his stuff, man. No, it's just sure, but I never understood how the NFL would sit here every week, every year, and say we are committed to the health of our players. We want our players to be healthy. We want our players to walk their children down the aisle one day, right? And then they go, how about you play 17 games this year? How about we basically, guys like Trevor Lawrence, and I respect Trevor. I respect guys for being warriors and wanting to be out there for their team and playing through pain. But it gets to a point where you just can't do it. You just need to focus on your future and your health first. And the team is not going to blame you for that. I know Lamar Jackson caught a lot of heat for sitting out with the knee issue because of his money and his contract. Do you think any of those players care about that year anymore now with how well the Ravens are doing because he wanted to prioritize his health for a year? Do you think any Raven is blaming Lamar now? Because that team might go win a damn Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, might.
And I see this happen. Trevor Lawrence is in a similar position where I think he should probably sit out a little bit longer than he probably wants to. Yes, Jacksonville can win the division, but are you going to go win the Super Bowl? No. I need you healthy next year, Trevor. We're going to build a roster. We're going to keep going, Trevor. Let CJ run the reins a little bit. And that's what they're doing this week, and I'm happy for Trevor for that. But, yeah, player health is important, Joel.
It is. I mean, yeah. Looking at a lot of these teams, a second bye week has to be added. I'm sorry. I think that's one of the main things that we've really agreed on. And I understand we're really rambling here, but there's got to be some sort of change that says we care about the player's health. Adding another game doesn't do that. Just doesn't.
What I think we do agree on is, and I don't think you've disagreed either, is this working? Is what's going on right now working?
No, we're
not even close.
We're getting so much proof of. I mean, you're seeing. I don't know if this is true or not. I might have seen this somewhere that this is the season that has had the most rookie quarterbacks starting.
Something like that, yeah.
Strictly because everyone's getting hurt. Everyone's injured. Everyone's getting hurt like crazy.
And the quarterback pool isn't big enough to have enough good quarterbacks. It's not big enough. I mean, there's a lot of talent out there, and there's a lot of guys who can play. But, I mean, you're going to see teams drafting quarterbacks a lot higher because now you need a backup. But you shouldn't. You shouldn't. If everyone's saying, oh, man, because this guy's going to get hurt. Well, whose fault is that? Some guys are just injury prone and have suffered previous injuries. I get that. Like Aaron Rodgers, right? But I shouldn't have to be down to Joe Flacco. And it's a fun story. It's great for him and his family to go out there and play. It's great for Cleveland. It's a fun story. Man, it shouldn't have to come to that. And I understand, well, guys, it's not like this is happening in game number 17, but it's the attrition that's going to happen from this schedule. And it's what's happened already from a 16-game schedule, which we just kind of live with. But add a second bye week. I don't know how we got there from the Dallas Cowboys Detroit Lion game,
but it worked out.
I think it's a conversation people need to hear. Joel, anything else left to add here on this Sunday morning episode of Break Panel Sports?
The Pistons won a game. We're getting Wingstop, boys.
We're getting Wingstop, even though you have to go to Detroit for it. But we are getting Wingstop. We're going to take a bus to Detroit tomorrow. We're going to go get our Wingstop. It's going to be great. No, I'm just going to drive 5 minutes and say, hey, can I get free Wingstop?
Yeah, probably.
They're going to tell me no. They're going to tell me
no. They probably will.
I wonder how many people are walking into our local Wingstop and saying, where's my wings? The Pistons won. They're going to be like, guys, we are 12 hours away from Detroit, Michigan. I'm not giving you wings. But
please.
But if you want wings, you can hit our sponsor code. Oh, wait, we don't have that. My bad.
We don't have a sponsor.
My bad. Wingstop, come on. What do you want? But Joel, that'll do it for this episode of Break Panel Sports. I've been John, joined alongside Joel, the Cowboys, the NFL being the NFL, and of course, the Knicks. What are you doing? But again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your morning, day, night, evening, whatever, to take on us rambling, talking. I don't even think it was rambling. I think it was an educated conversation about the game of football and basketball. How
Yeah.
about that? How about that? It's been fun, as always. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day for Break Panel Sports. Have a good one. We'll see you another time.
Bye bye.